What is going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video, my sports Gematria. This video, I'm going to go over a boxing match for Sunday, June 5th, 2022. I'm going to show you highlights of each side, and it's going to be up to you to determine who you think will win based on the numbers. I encourage you to add additional information on top of this if needed for you to feel confident in your own pick. And I wish you guys the best of luck on all your picks today. Let's go ahead and get into the matchup here. We're going to be looking at... It's scheduled here in the United States for June 4th, which is Saturday. However, the fight is taking place in Melbourne, Australia. And so in the United States, it's going to be June 4th, but in Australia, it's going to be June 5th, which is Sunday. And I'm going to go based off of the location of the fight, which is Australia. That's the time frame I'm going off of. So I'm going to be using June 5th date numerology and not June 4th. Even though it will air June 4th in the United States, it'll actually be June 5th in Australia. And I always go with the location of the time frame. We're going to be looking at George Kambosos versus, forgive me if I mispronounce that, George Kambosos versus Devin Haney. 12 rounds for an undisputed lightweight title. On this side of the screen is what I call my daily numbers, date numerology, Gregorian Hebrew calendar. And then on this side of the screen is what I call my game numbers specific to the game. The way I have it structured here is I have a reminder to myself that June 5th will be the day that it takes place in Australia. Here's the location of the fight. Here's the stadium that it's in, Marvel Stadium. And then right here is one fighter, his name Gematria, his birthday, to and from, his fight record, any type of streak that he's on. In the middle is the head-to-head Gematria between the two last names. And at the bottom is another fighter, his name Gematria, his birthday, to and from, his fight record, and any streak that he is on. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. So I'm going to go over some numbers here for Devin that look pretty good for him. And then I'm going to go over some numbers for George that look pretty good for him. As you can see on the screen, I don't have a lot marked in general. There wasn't a whole lot for me to mark. I couldn't find a whole lot. But let's just go over it for right now. We'll go with the bottom guy, Devin Haney. Some numbers that are going to allow him to win this game. Or not this game, but allow him to win this boxing match is Devin. If he were to win, he would become a perfect 28-0. He would get his 28th win in a row. He would become a perfect 28-0. Well, if we write out the number 28, 28 sums to 156. And June 5th will be the 156th day of the Gregorian year. It will be a day with 33 date numerology on it. 33 written out sums to 156. It also sums to 141. 28 sums to 156 and 141. That really is all that's needed for Devin Haney to win this fight. That connection right there alone, the 28, to me that's good enough. Also, Devin Haney, it's going to be the 201st day of his 23-year-old age, the 201st day. And George Kambosos Jr. could become 20-1 for a fight record in his career with a loss, which looks like a 201. So on the 201st day of Devin's age, George can become 201 with a loss. Devin get that 28th win. 28 sums to 156 and 141. It's the 156th day of the Gregorian, a day with 33 date numerology. 33 sums to 156 and 141. And that's about it for Devin. I think those very few connections right there are good enough. If he's going to win, those would be the numbers I'd be looking at. His name also sums to 53, and it will be a day with 53 date numerology as well as 33 date numerology on the Gregorian. Now, if George Kambosos Jr. were to win, it's not so direct as Devin. And what I mean by that is, yes, this fight is taking place in Australia. Yes, it will be June 5th in Australia. However, in the United States, it will be June 4th. It will be Saturday. And if we actually go back in date numerology to Saturday, we find that it's the 271st day of the Hebrew civil calendar, 271. Well, if they're using United States date numerology and not Australia date numerology, that would favor George Kambosos Jr. because with the win, or excuse me, with the loss, Devin Haney would become 27-1 for a fight record in his career, 27-1, 271 on what could be the 271st day of the Hebrew civil. Now, again, this is Saturday, June 4th. This is what the date numerology would be for the United States, even though the fight is taking place on Sunday, June 5th in Australia. So if it was going to be the Saturday date numerology for George Kambosos, that would be it. It'd be the 271. Devin Haney becoming 27-1 for his fight record in his career with a loss. And let's see here. Outside of that, I mean, I didn't really see a whole lot. George, I mean, he's coming up on a 29-year-old birthday. It's 9 days or a total span of 10 days till his 29th birthday. That doesn't really do anything for me at all. He's currently 28 years old. We just talked about that number for Devin, how it could favor Devin. But the 21-0, 21 does them to 141. But of course, if that was going to be a connection, we would have to use Sunday's date numerology. Sunday, the 5th of June, because 33, date numerology, 33 sums to 141. 21 sums to 141. Could be a reason why George gets his 21st win in a row, 21st win for his career. And outside of that, I really don't see a whole lot here. Nothing jumps out at me, honestly. If George Kambosos wins this fight, I definitely can't contribute it to numbers, really, honestly, because I just don't know. I mean, other than the 271, the only really thing that have George going for him is Devin Haney becoming 271. United States, it'll be the 271st day on the Hebrew civil, even though it'll be the 272nd day in Australia. And outside of that, that's all I really find. It's not the best of connections. It's not the best of videos for it, but you only could work with what's given to you, and this is what's given to me, and there's not a whole lot to work with, unfortunately. So with that being said, if George Kambosos Jr. wins this fight, it's got to be the 271. It's the only thing I can really think of that potentially it could be it. And then if Devin Haney wins this fight, he has a few things going for him. He has the 28, he has the 201, the 53. Has a little bit more than George, but that doesn't always necessarily result in a win. Having more numbers doesn't always necessarily result in a win. Sometimes it's the opposite. Having zero numbers results in a win, whereas the person that looks like they're more connected end up losing. So not the best of reads on this fight. I'm going to make a pick on this fight. I'll just continue to look it over. I have a few more days until day and a half, 2 days until fight time. So I'll continue to look it over. This is what I have for right now. Hopefully this helps. Hopefully this gets you started if you haven't already gotten started. If you have gotten started, hopefully this adds to what you're already looking at. And I really appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate the support. I wish you guys the best of luck on all your picks. Hopefully you win all the money in the world. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.